Yeah, morning, Trey. So sentiment does seem to be on the up. Whether it can be sustained will be determined probably by the CPI print we've got in the session ahead. But certainly European assets outperforming. We've seen obviously some tailwinds coming from the news flow around the Ukraine. We've seen natural gas prices there falling 8% to 190 euros. Electricity prices down 7.2% again. So that's really helping tailwinds then. If you have a look at European equities, we've seen the DAX outperforming up 2.4% in the cash. We saw a gap up on the open, good range expansion playing through, and plenty for the day traders and the scalpers to work with intraday there. So an interesting market, definitely one to put on your radar. We've obviously seen euro dollar having a nice gain for most of the day. We saw it trade up to pretty much 102, the figure, and then we've seen a few sellers taking it back to where we currently sit at the moment, 101.24. But generally speaking, we have seen a weaker US dollar playing through across markets. Yeah, we've certainly seen it gaining against the yen, but certainly the Swedish krona and the NOK have seen some really good buys coming through in the trading session. And again, part of that can be explained by what we've seen in the commodities complex. Crude's had a good gain, up 1.5%. We've seen natural gas prices in the US up a little bit on the day. And we've seen silver actually being the place where we've seen a bit of activity. Silver price up 5%. Probably a bit of switching out of gold, which is having that continued grind higher. But silver really seeing some good range expansion playing through and some explosive activity. In terms of US equity markets, well, they feasted on this weaker US dollar in this move that we've been seeing in European equities. We've seen S&P close up 1.1%. We've seen the Nasdaq 1.2%. 84% of stocks in the S&P were higher. Obviously, it's been led by energy. Energy once again doing quite well. But yeah, strong tape, closing fairly close to the highs on the day as well. Now, in fixed income, we have seen some sellers playing through. I think this has probably been driven by some supply from investment grade, but we've seen a $32 billion 10-year reopening coming through. It tailed pretty high. It's not been taken down too well, and you can see that you can see yields across the curve have moved up a little bit higher, and certainly on a nominal and real basis. But it hasn't deterred the dollar. It hasn't necessarily deterred the silver market, as I talked about. In terms of the session ahead, well, we're going to watch that Asian Open, but we are watching the NAB and Westpac business confidence numbers coming through soon. UK employment numbers coming through later in the session, and then of course it's US CPI number, which is going to be the big one tonight. We watch that very closely.